friends, and welcome to the second part of my billet tutorial. And today we're going to be dealing with the one ahead principle. And if you don't know what the one ahead principle is, then I'm going to teach you the way I do my version of the one ahead principle using the techniques that I've used over the years. I've changed it so many times you won't even believe it, but in the end of the day, I'm sticking to the version that I use. You're welcome to use it. You can use it, but I would rather you thought for yourself. Use your own creativity to make your own routine around the general principle. But let me explain to you what I do personally when it comes to the techniques that I use, because when you do a one ahead principle with three different things, it can either be a prediction or a mind reading effect. And what I do is completely different to both of those. So let's get into basically the way it started and the way I used to do it, and then I'll get into how I... Now, the principle that the old time mind readers and the old time gypsies used to use is to have a dummy billet, a blank billet, already hidden in your hand. Now, you need to mark this billet, and my favorite method of marking the billet is to put a little pen dot in the top right hand corner of each short side. So on both ends I put a little dot, and believe me, no one will ever notice that, and that's the way that I mark my billets. Little dot in the top right hand corner of both ends, right? So I have that already finger palmed. Now, for the sake of explanation, we'll assume that the blank billet is the blue one. This is the marked one. And in the beginning, you give them a billet and you tell them to write some sort of information on that billet. When you take it back, you do the switch, you take it back, you put the billet in to the glass like that, and then you tell them that's what I want you to do, and you give them the next billet, and then this time you've got their information in your hand, and this time you don't take the billet from them and you don't read the information yet. You let them put the second one in the glass themselves, and then you give them the third one and you say, okay, tell me, write something personal on the third one. And when you turn your back again, this is the time when you turn your back and you open the first billet and read it, no matter what it is. So for the purposes of explanation, we will say the first billet is A, okay? And you read A. Then you close it up again and you hide it in your palm, or you can put it in your pocket, okay? So then what you do is you tell them, have you done the third one? They put it in the glass, and you turn around. Now you know the information on the first billet. You tell them to shake up the billets so that they can't remember which order they were in, and empty them out on the table. Then you separate the billets and you look for the mark. Then you know, okay, the one on the right is marked. It could be anyone, but the one that's marked, you leave until last. So you pick up the first billet and you think, okay, I think that this billet says this and that. And you pretend that you're divining what the first billet said, A. So then you open the second billet. You say, okay, I think it says A. And you open the second billet and you pretend to read A. Say they wrote the name Tracy. You'll pretend to read say they wrote the name Tracy on the first billet. You pretend to read the name Tracy on the second billet, but what you're actually doing is reading the next thing, which we will call B, okay? So this is the second billet. So you say A, but you're actually reading B. You fold it up and you say, that's interesting. Let me try a different one. And you put that billet in there and you take the next one. And you pretend you're reading. Now, remember that this could be in your hand or it could be in your pocket. I prefer it in the pocket because it looks more natural and you can do this, right? But if you like having it in your hand, if you're confident, you can do that too. Then you pretend that you're divining B. And you say, I think this billet says B, but you don't say, I think the billet says B, okay? Don't get me wrong. Your wording should be, you are thinking of this person or this animal or this number, whatever you choose to make it on the billet. And then you say, you are thinking of B. Don't ever say, what's written on here is, because then it makes this the trick. You want to look like you reading their minds. So you say, I think you are thinking of the word B. And then you open this up and you say, yes. You pretend to read it. It says C, but you pretend to read it, and it says hello. It says C, but you pretend to read it as B. So you go, yes, B, I was correct. And you fold it up, you put it back. And then the blank one, this is where you have to steal the billet from your pocket. That's why a lot of magicians like to just rather leave it palmed the whole time. Then the blank one comes, you pretend to say, oh, you're thinking of C. And then you open the blank one and you pretend, what I like to do, a nice subtlety, I know that this billet's blank, but I turn it this way and I go, yes, it says C. And as I fold it up, what I do is I fold it up and then I get the glass and put the original billet in it. Therefore, I steal out the original blank billet, and I've just basically read their mind 3 times and they can examine these billets at will. And I think that that is absolutely fantastic. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I hope I didn't fumble through it. I hope you can understand what I was trying to say. And basically it is very easy. What you do is you just switch in the first one for a blank one, put it in the glass using the switch, and then turn around for the second time they write something, and then don't read the billet yet and turn back and tell them to put it in the glass. Then when you turn around for the third thing that they write, that's when you open the initial billet to get the information. But I didn't like that. I didn't like the mind reading thing. I preferred a sort of prediction type of effect where I would actually predict like what would the person think of, or events that would happen that like were random. So what I did initially, because when you want to do a prediction thing, instead of doing the switch, what you do is you basically have to have a force, and you force the last thing that you're gonna predict. So say for instance you force a card. So you'll say, I'm going to predict certain things, and then you take out the first billet and say, I'm predicting something here, but I'm not going to say it yet because it wouldn't be a prediction. You write it down, you put it in the glass. Then you say, I predicted, I don't know, what your mother's maiden name is, or I predicted what number you would think of. And then you say, think of a number from 1 to 1,000. And they say, 667, neighbor of the beast. 666, the number of the beast. Then on the main sheet of paper, I'll draw 3 lines like this, or 2 lines, and then they'd say, okay, what did you say you thought of? 667, neighbor of the beast. And then I'd tell them, there's no possible way I could have known that, so it's too late for me to change my prediction, is what I said. But what I actually wrote on the first billet was the force card. So say I wrote the 7 of clubs, or whatever the force card is, the jack of diamonds, and then I pick up the next billet and say, I'm going to make another prediction, and I open the billet, but I write the first thing, I write 667, and I say, okay, I made a prediction, I put it back in the glass with the first one, and I say, I predicted what animal you were going to think of an animal. Say they say cheetah, I go, cheetah, let's write it down, and I write cheetah, the only animal you can't play cards with.
I was so poor in my neighborhood the rainbow was in black and white.
Anyway, so cheetah. So I write down cheetah, and then the next bullet I pick up and I say, I'm going to make a third prediction, and I write cheetah, which is a bit difficult because, you know, I'm supposed to be writing a card, but they don't know what I'm writing, so I write cheetah, close it down. What I mean by difficult is they can see I'm writing something long. So it all depends on how you act. But then I write down cheetah and I put it in the glass. And then with the third thing, I say, I predicted what card you were going to cut to. And I use like something like a cross-cut force and things like that. And then they say, okay, what card is it? And then they say, oh, it's the jack of diamonds. And that was what I wrote in the first place. And then I say, okay, Jack of diamonds. Now I know that all three of these things are in the glass. Then what I do is I tip out the glass, which is important. I pick up the glass and tip it out so that they can't keep track if they've been following. For those smart MFs in the crowd that have been following which billet is what, I tip it out so that they tumble over each other and it's impossible to basically follow. Okay, so that's the way I used to do it. Then I didn't like the force card because, believe it or not, 1 in every 50 to 100 times I would do it, there would be someone who would reverse engineer the thing and say, no, but you must have written a card first, which is reasonable to think if you think about it. And because he knows that I'm a magician and I can force a card. So what I did, I still use the cards, but I do something completely different to the predictions and all of that. Now, there's another technique you can use if you don't like the cards. You can use dice to predict what they're going to roll out of 4 dice. Believe it or not, you think that's impossible. You're going to predict what they... Because you put the 4 dice in the cup, and then they shake the cup up, and then you tell them to count the top spots of all 4 dice. And then you predict what the dice are going to land on. But there's a way of rigging the dice, and I'm going to tip you on it because it's brilliant. And you just need regular dice. The traditional way is to use 6 dice, but I use 4 dice. It's just, I don't know. But you super glue the die together. I don't know if you guys can see that. Right? Super glue the die together. And on every side, on the long sides, it'll always have 7. So 6 and 1, 4 and 2, 6 and 1. And then on this one, I've got 3 and 4, 5 and 2, 3 and 4, you know. And so when you tumble it in the cup, they will always land like this and they'll tumble over. So it'll always be, because it's 7 on 2 dice and 7 on the other, it'll always land on 14. Now, there are people that know that the top and bottom numbers on a dice always add up to 7, but nobody's ever going to think that 4 dice, like shaken in a cup randomly, could be rigged in any way. And I'll teach you a way of getting out of it. So you pull out the rigged dice and you put it in the cup, and you just say, we'll do that at the end. Okay, so we got dice here, don't worry about it. Then you write 14 and you go through the whole spiel. Then at the end you say, cover the top of the mug and shake the dice. And then when they're done, you take the cup and you tilt it towards them so that the dice bunch up together like this. And then you say, add the spots on top of that die, on top of all 4 of those. And then they add it together. And you must make sure that they're adding correctly. If they add wrong, you just say, count again. Or you say, it doesn't look like it to me, or whatever. But generally, people can count to 14. It depends how much they've had to drink, you know what I mean? So yeah, I used to use the dice force. And then an easy way out of that is when they're opening the billets. Easy, remember, mentalism is supposed to be easy, not complicated. So when they're opening the billets, I take out the rigged dice and just take out 4 duplicates and put them next to the cup while they're busy opening the billets. So if anyone's suspicious of the dice, they can pick up the dupes and the moment is perfect. This is a brilliant force, by the way. If you guys are thinking about mentalism, this dice force is brilliant because all you need is super glue and some dice. There you go. You can rig your own dice. Don't say I didn't teach you anything.
We'll be covering the commands hand salute, present arms, and order arms.
And now we finally get to the way I do it. And the way I do it is I use marked cards. And if you're not sure about how to mark cards, or you don't have a system you like or a system you can read from far, go back to my first mentalism tutorial. And no, not my first mentalism tutorial. Go back to my tutorials and you'll see two-way mind reading tutorial. And on that tutorial, I teach you how to mark cards where you can see them very clearly and no one suspects a thing, okay, to learn how to do that. But I use that marking system. And basically what I do is I turn my back and I say, shuffle the cards. And they shuffle the cards and I say, put them in front of you. And then they put them in front of me and then I turn around. Now the shuffling with my back turned doesn't have to happen, but it makes it seem more impossible to everybody. So then I say cut it into 4 piles, any 4 piles you like, and point to any pile you want, and then they point to a pile. Then I notice what card is on top of the pile. I read it while I'm talking. Then I say without showing anyone, even yourself, slide the card very carefully off without showing its face and slip it into your pocket without anyone seeing. Make sure no one can see, and then put the deck away. And he does it and puts the card in the pocket, puts the deck away, and then I say, we'll get back to the card later. And then I go into the pattern I use is pickpockets are good at telling exactly what's inside your pocket, what kind of phone you have, whether or not you've, even they get so good that they can even tell you to the cent how much money you have in your pocket. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't mind, how much money you have in your wallet to the cent. And then all I do is I pick up the first billet and I write down the card that they put in their pocket. Think about it. So then the next thing I say is, okay, this is how much money I think you have in your wallet. Remember how impossible this looks. And then they take their money out and count it in front of everyone. Then I write on the paper, this is how much money you've got. So then I go, this is how much money you got. Okay, the next thing I'm going to tell is, when you took your wallet out, I looked at the last 4 digits of your bank card. And then what you do is you write the first thing. You take the billet and you say, I'm going to see if I'm good at spotting that. And I write the first number, the amount of money he has in his wallet. Okay? And then I fold it up and put it down and I say, I think I've spotted your bank numbers. Just take out your card, don't show everyone the full number, but read out the last 4 numbers. And then he reads out the last 4 numbers, and then I write it down there. And then the last bullet I pick up and I say, now I'm going to guess, I'm so good at telling what's in people's pockets, I'm going to guess what card you put in your pocket. But remember, you shuffled the pack, I never touched the deck, my back was turned the whole time. I lied to them, but they don't remember. My back was turned the entire time. It's impossible for me to know what that card is. Correct. I haven't even touched the pack. And then they go, correct. And then I pretend I'm writing down the card, but I actually write down the last 4 digits of the bank thing. So say it's the Jack of Diamonds again. I write down, and then they look, they show everyone, because I've put the billet away. And I say, okay, now it's too late for me to change it. What was your card? He pulls it out. He shows everyone. I say, show everyone. Then I write down Jack of Diamonds, whatever the card may be. And then I say, remember to empty it out so that they can't follow which bullet is what. Empty it out on the table like that. And I say, well, have a look if my predictions were correct. And I promise you, I've never had a guy come back and say, I worked it out. So, and I always get a good response, especially when you guess how much money is in a person's pocket. You'll be surprised. So if you want to use that, fine, but I wouldn't suggest you use my stuff exactly. I would say try it for yourself and see what you can do. Thank you for watching me this long. Please tell your magic buddies about me. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. And if you want to see more stuff on mentalism, let me know in the comments. And I'll see you next time on the next Sunday school, which was a request by a guy to teach a trick that's very amazing. So stay tuned for that. It's a card trick. It's a packet trick that looks impossible. Thanks, guys. See you next time.